This week on Not Sauce for Work, Terry Tam returns after a week off. I get into having to do some forceful renovation. We remember a Hall of Famer, and we get a live look into a Northern Florida tire fire. We'll get into these topics and much more on this episode of Not Sauce for Work on the Hot Sauce Sports Podcast Network. Terry Tam returns, as I said in the open, and his headset, of course, is having trouble.
Smack it.
Oh, did it pop for you?
No, it didn't. No.
Did it pop for you?
It's the wire. Just play with the wire again.
It's because I gotta lift it, but I can't do the whole show like this.
Call it a dirty girl.
Let go?
Spit in its face.
Put your phone
Put my phone under it?
Yeah, under the wire.
Terry, what else do you do to your girl to make her behave?
Jeez.
To make her behave.
Yeah.
Listen.
You say yes.
I do my best.
Yeah, but that's the problem here. You're not listening.
I can't listen.
The other voice, of course, you heard is
what you do with your phone doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. The disembodied voice you heard, of course, is the Eagle Eye Master Control, who is producing the show. As always, boys, we had a windstorm on Saturday.
100 miles an hour.
Eagle saw the picture. I forgot to send it to you. I have a semi-detached house with a shared driveway and a very heavy, very large car cover, referred to colloquially here in Montreal as a tempo. The wind lifted it up, and as we were going to bed Saturday night, my wife goes to close the curtains, and she saw the tempo like up
Elevate.
to like at the level of our second story. And so I went outside, and what we had was, there we go. There's the picture. That is the outside of my home. Luckily, this blocks my address. Thank you.
So what happened?
I checked that before.
Yeah, thank you for making sure.
What happened? Is it up or is it flipped?
No, it is up completely.
Oh, okay.
The front of it is is blocking my bedroom window.
I was looking at it. I thought it was long.
Yeah, it's also atop of my neighbor's car. So we've had some damage. Mostly my neighbor's house.
Is he a good neighbor?
Yeah, great neighbor. Love the dude.
That's a shame.
I've literally known him since I was a child, so it's
okay.
great neighbor to have. But it's a really unfortunate situation. The fire department had to come take it down.
Slot that remote under the wire.
I can try that.
Let's do it.
How's that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go, Terry. Your voice changes as soon as you hear yourself.
It's not great, though.
I'm sorry.
It's only one ear.
Well, 1 ear is better than
I'm privileged.
2 ears.
First world problems.
So it looked like there was a giant pirate sail in front of my home, and the fire department came to tear it down because like you can't leave it like that. It can rip off and cause serious damage to the house or somebody else.
Especially with the wind, it can just fly.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll end up with a tempo.
Exactly.
It'll fly from RDP all the way to St. Dorothy.
There we go. Hopefully. This isn't Kansas anymore.
Yeah, that's a shame.
And of course, then I was feeling terrible about myself and like, oh my God, how can this happen to me? And then I turned on the news and saw what happened as a series of tornadoes ripped through Kentucky, and just an awful situation there.
It was bad. There's one like a drone footage I saw of one town. It was brutal, man. It was really bad. Like, I hope they evacuated everybody. I think that from what I read, they did. But it's crazy. And if you don't believe that all this is somehow involved with climate change,
you're not paying attention. Like at this point,
I get that. Like a lot of the anti-climate changers, whatever you want to call them, is that they think that this has always happened in history. It's going to happen again. It's just the time. But it didn't happen this rapidly.
It didn't happen this rapidly. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you think that. We're all going to die if it doesn't start to change.
But the way I see it is that we're good in Montreal for another 100 years at least.
Unless
I mean, we're also in the middle of a fucking island. Like, we can just flood
at any time.
No, we can't because of how much higher than sea level we are, technically.
Well, but New York had flooding in a way that they haven't had.
Flooding because of their plumbing system.
Yeah,
it's
well,
not because of the way the city is.
But the shareholders' piece, we can't invest in climate change equipment because then we lose profit. But we're all going to die.
How big is the city of New York City compared to the city of Montreal?
Like physical?
Yeah.
Montreal's actually, I believe, bigger. The actual island's bigger than the island of Manhattan.
Bigger. So imagine they have 10 times the amount of people we have.
Yeah.
So naturally, if everybody flushes at the same time, they're fucked.
So you need to stagger your flushing.
Yeah. So like Queens can only flush from this time to this time.
And it's a shame because Queens is the home of flushing.
It is Flushing, Queens, exactly.
Speaking of
it is also the home of the Mets, who belong in a toilet bowl to flush.
Yeah, every season.
Yeah,
no matter how good it looks.
No matter how
good it looks,
they just need to be in the toilet.
So add this the Jets and Giants into that bowl as well.
But this brings me.
Not Queens.
This brings me to a different toilet.
The armpit of the United States.
Yeah, it is the armpit of the universe.
Yeah, I use that reference a lot. The armpit of this because it's a very good reference when you want to say something is garbage.
Yeah. But all the flushing brought me to the point where I actually wanted to take this conversation. And it's because I was doing a lot of this reading while I was on the toilet bowl.
Yes. Best reading time.
I go to the washroom more often, I think, than anyone I know.
I only got, for sure not more than me.
5 times a day.
Yeah, I'm about the same.
All right, nice.
But the only reason why I got the Athletic was for caca reading time.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best. There are articles, like you can get 3 articles in one shit, and that's the ideal.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
30, 45 minutes, and we're good to go.
Absolutely. And so I wanted to ask this question because this is a safe room of guys here, and I feel like guys don't often have these conversations amongst themselves. How often, while taking a shit, do you get your legs going numb because you're reading something on your phone? And are we the first generation to have numb legs on the shitter because of
it's happened a couple of times. Doesn't happen too often. What I do get, this is a common thing for me, is when I lean on my elbows too long, I lose
the fingertips
in my pinky finger only. So that's what I lose.
I'm too much of a fidgeter. Like I'm always kind of like moving a little bit, so that doesn't happen to me very often.
You are
twitchy. To be honest.
You are a twitchy motherfucker.
I happened to me 3 times this week. 3 times I was like, okay, now I gotta get up from the shitter. But I can't yet, so I need to sit like this, staring into space for like 45 seconds to get the feeling back. Now I can wipe my ass.
It's all about wiping your ass.
Oh, also, I didn't know this existed, but are you because I'm a standing wiper. I didn't know sitting wipers existed.
Yeah, me.
You're a sitting wiper?
I go back to front. What do you do?
I go front to back.
I go back to front.
That's insane.
I lift I think we've had this conversation before. Yeah. I lift the balls. Mm-hmm. So I cup the balls completely, and then I stand up. I don't sit down, but I kind of like bend over, and then I'll shoot this arm as far back as I can, and then with this finger I'll just scoop everything out until there's nothing left.
Eagle, you're the arbiter. Standing or sitting wiper?
I stand.
Standing wiper. So 2 versus 1. You're a weirdo.
And so you stand and you go back to front, or you go front to back?
I go front to back.
I don't understand how people do that.
This way.
No, I don't understand how people can reach there and get all of the shit
with our arms.
No, but like I've tried it, and it's like I feel like my fingers are just digging through the toilet paper.
I feel like you've been doing too much chest at the gym.
Chest, bro. I actually did back today. Destroyed it.
Can you like clap your hands?
Yeah.
Okay, so you should be able to reach your ass.
Yeah. I know I can't. I'm not saying I can't. I'm saying it's not enough. Oh, sorry, buddy.
You killed all of the headsets.
No, I can hear mine. It's fine. Are we good?
I don't know. Whatever. We'll figure it out.
Pop it.
There we go. It's good. So all that to say, this weekend was kind of shitty.
It was kind of shitty.
Let's get into it. We have a ton of stuff. It's time for us to get into the news. I said that the weirdest way possible. Terry, it's the news.
Is it though?
It is.
All right.
So the first story, of course, kind of it sucks to start a show this way, but it's kind of the biggest sports story of the weekend. So it's disingenuous to start any other way. Demarius Thomas, from what I've heard, obviously nobody is entirely good, no one's entirely bad, but he seems to have been overwhelmingly a good person. He passed away at 34. Complications that resulted in seizures. Complications going back to a car accident he had in 2019. Passed away in Roswell, Georgia, which is steps away from Alpharetta, Georgia, which is where I spend a lot of my time. And it was sometimes just details of a story sort of haunt you a little bit. And it's not like I knew him. It's not like I even go to Roswell often, but just knowing where it was
to him,
gave me a different association, right? It's a weird thing.
It's like when you hear somebody from Montreal is this like there's that Australian boxer that just won a couple weeks ago, but he's Greek. So like I have associated to him because he's Greek, so I became a fan instantly.
Yeah.
You know, so when somebody's from your area, you're automatically going to be a fan.
Yeah, and that's like it. Just sort of like I was like, oh man, I didn't know he's from there, and it was like, oh, this really sucks.
Yeah, it was.
I'm not even from Georgia. It's just
tough.
I spent so
I
much
love
time
Demarius Thomas. I mean, I had him in a bunch of fantasy teams.
He was the greatest name to make fantasy team names out of. Like Demarius Targaryen.
Yeah, Demarius Targaryen.
That was very popular because Game of Thrones and Demarius Thomas were famous at the same time, you know.
So they lined up without anybody in the X spot where he was.
Yeah, literally the next video where Eagle.
Oh, there you go.
Let's play the video and then we'll discuss it.
I didn't see it.
The X position will be left open. Only 10 men on the field at the 25-yard line.
The Lions should have accepted the penalty.
If it was Urban Meyer, he would have.
Oh, definitely. 100%. He would have been like, I tried to recruit Thomas.
John Hussey is the referee. And they're going to take the delay of game.
And so many people came out after talked about how good of a guy Demarius Thomas is. It's tough.
My favorite part about this clip is you watch the Broncos offense starting to walk backwards 5 yards, right?
Yeah.
And here comes Courtland Sutton onto the field.
And you know, we've said this on the show is like,
what a moment
as much as we love to tease
for the
things Dan Campbell does,
just 10 men.
we don't hate Dan Campbell. He seems like a genuinely good person who cares about his job, who cares about his players, who cares about football in a way that's unreasonable. And that's why he refused, which should have been an obvious accepted penalty, because it's more important, right? Like the sanctity of the game and who this person was to the game is more important than 5 yards. Because who gives a shit about 5 yards?
Dan Campbell's all about the game.
Yeah,
he's only about.
I'll tell you what, if it was Dan Patricia, accept.
Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia definitely.
And definitely his lesser known brother Dan, apparently.
I just merged Dan Campbell and Matt Patricia into Dan Patricia. That'd be a terrible coach.
Probably the worst coach in the history of the NFL.
Just if those two had like a test tube baby, it'd be bad. But
what was it? Belichick guarantee would have accepted it.
I don't know. Bill Belichick has a history of football kind of thing too. Belichick, I feel like if you told him in advance, he would be like, yeah, don't worry about it. I got it. But if you did it like on the fly, he'd be like, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He'd be like, well, you should have told me. I didn't know what you guys were doing.
Yeah.
Play
no idea.
I don't know what you guys are doing.
It was just a giant 88 on the screen.
Yeah. Fucking Bill, man.
It was, and even you see the players, like the Lions players, clapping along. It was just a cool moment. You know, like it's obviously it sucks. It's sad. It's horrific for the family. No parent should ever have to bury their children. But to see the players clapping, it's cool. It's a cool moment.
It's always good because we hear there's always shit, especially nowadays. Everybody we're so divided, and I mean I'm only mentioning this because of the statement, but like Dominic Cruz won a fight this weekend in the UFC, and he said. At the end of his for his Octagon interview after he won, he said, we're too divided. We need to come back together. And things like this show you that like shit that goes on outside of whatever you're doing is not that important. You know what I mean? So like if you have to realize that everybody's arguing with each other, not to hear each other, to kind of respond. But when moments like this happen, you can kind of like slow it down and then realize that we're all just fucking human. With a Twitter handle, that's all we are.
I've started to realize that my approach now is when people disagree with me online,
you just stop talking.
I just say, okay, this person disagrees with me. That's fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
Because guess what? I know the internet will have you believe opposite. It's fine if people disagree with you. It's okay.
And people are so fucking salty on the internet. It's crazy. Like Juliana Pena won, and she posted a picture of Zac Efron kind of like looking at her as she's walking to the octagon, and she's like, "Oh, look, Zac Efron's checking me out." But he's not really looking at her. He's kind of looking like behind her.
Yeah.
So I made a comment and I said, "You're delusional. He's not even looking at you. Jeez, like relax."
Yeah.
Very tongue in cheek.
To be fair, I wish Zac Efron was looking at me.
Some guy responded, Groper45683, a bot, obviously, and he's like, "Dude, you're a fucking asshole." And I'm like, and then I sent him the gif of the joke going over his head because he's a fucking idiot. Yeah. People are just too sensitive nowadays.
Says the guy who's posting shit on Twitter.
It's different because my thing on Twitter is that I just like to comment on people.
I don't actually think people.
I don't make fun of anybody.
I don't.
I mean, I do.
I think the whole sensitivity thing is overplayed because I think people are the same people we've always been. There's like an alarming amount of evidence that shows we haven't actually evolved through thousands of years. I mean, we have biologically. I mean, we're the same kind of people we've been for thousands of years, which is an indictment on humanity. But the other thing is, it's just that there's a voice, there's an outlet now, and we tend to think that the internet has the majority of opinions, but it's overwhelmingly a minority of people who post, and of that, you get the same kind of people from the same parts of the world who tend to post on social media.
What's the guy, the CEO of Twitter? Well, not anymore. Jack
Dorsey.
He said once that the amount of actual people that have a Twitter account in the world is under 10%.
Yeah, and
of
that, how many of the accounts are actually like accounts people don't use?
Yeah, exactly.
Like disbanded accounts or whatever.
Yeah, like my Terry Tam FPF account. Like, no, I don't use that anymore.
But it still exists.
I should change it though. Change the name, become like a troll account.
Troll FPF.
Troll FPF. There you
It'd be awesome.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
Yeah,
and I just start ripping guys, and it's gonna go on the website.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
It's genius. How have we not done that?
Also, remember that like 10% of the world population can't get on Twitter because China, and the other 10% can't because internet, India.
Yeah, and Africa. I mean, not everywhere in Africa, but yeah, most parts.
Large parts.
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
it's essentially the voice of the obnoxious and privileged is what we see on both sides of the internet. But yeah, so another thing that can unite us all, except for Ohio and Northern Florida, is Urban Meyer. If Urban Meyer was there, like we said, he would have accepted the penalty. And I saw this going poorly. I think a lot of people saw this going poorly. I'm not going to say I'm omniscient. I remember when he got hired in our chat, I was just like, guys, I don't see how this works with Urban Meyer, the psychotic control freak.
You know he's not going to work. Maybe they brought him in just so Trevor Lawrence has like a year off, just to kind of like take the pressure away from me. Like, look at my coach, he's an idiot. I think that's what they did it for. That had to have been. What reason? What sex tape does he have on Khan that they hired him?
Well, I heard Tony Khan in an interview talk about how he loved Urban Meyer and how Urban Meyer's philosophy of life changed his life.
So Urban Meyer recruited him.
Yeah. It has to be he interviews well, right? Because that's what a recruiter does. Essentially, is you're sitting in an interview, like you're in theory interviewing players, but in reality, you're undergoing the interview so that people trust you to go play for you, right?
Exactly.
There is a quote coming out of the Jaguars locker room. I don't know exactly if it's been attributed to an actual player or not, but basically went something along the lines of, Urban Meyer preaches this whole like family type of team chemistry and the whole stuff, and he's completely full of shit essentially. Like he doesn't actually live up to it. He lives his life entirely differently, and that none of the players actually respect him. So I can't see this going well. Admittedly, Pete, it's exactly what you said was going to happen, right? That he was never going to be able to win over the players.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not even just the players. I remember last week when James Robinson got benched for a fumble because apparently this is high school football, and let's bench our best player. And then since then he's barely been getting the ball.
That's crazy.
Admittedly,
fantasy owner.
I have a lot of James Robinson in a lot of my leagues.
Here's the quote, by the way. It came from Paulino. I gotta get the first name here for you. Yeah,
Sal Paolantonio.
And he said he came in preaching.
He's the worst at names.
You can't read.
It wasn't there. It's from Twitter. It wasn't posted.
It's fine.
So it's saying, with a quote from a Jaguars player saying he came in preaching values, family, and team. It's been anything but since the start of training camp. He's a phony and a hypocrite. We know who he is.
Well, family while he was trying to finger bang somebody in his own bar while his wife was at home. So family.
F is for family.
Listen, if they wanted family, they should have hired Dom Toretto.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't insult my aunts and uncles to their faces at family events like he did.
Oh, I definitely do.
So here's the thing. So
I mean, it depends on the kind of insult.
There's a couple things. So
like
when the James Robinson thing happened, he blamed running back coach Bernie Parmalee. So he threw an assistant coach under the bus, and then this happened. I'll read it to you, Terry. During a staff meeting, Meyer delivered a biting message that he's a winner and his assistant coaches are losers, according to several people informed of the contents of the meeting, challenging each coach individually to explain why they've ever won, forcing them to defend their resumes.
So you hired them.
Wouldn't you? That sounds like a job interview. Wouldn't you have done that before you hired them? And secondly, all of these coaches have more NFL wins than you do, Urban.
It's not only that, is that he's such a control freak and he's such an insecure loser that he has to rip on his coaches that the players respect more
than him.
And also, so he can get them on his side, not realizing that you're just being a bully and an asshole, and at the end of the day, nobody's going to respect you for that. We're in different times, Urban. This isn't the John Madden era.
Terry, you played football. you were closer with
tried.
your position coach than your head coach, right?
Definitely.
And
definitely.
It's more so the case in the NFL, I imagine.
The coach is like a leader role.
time?
The head coach is like a leader role, and your position coach is kind of like your mentor.
Yeah.
Almost, So you have like a more intimate relationship with that person than you do.
I imagine, and we talked about James Robinson, Bernie Parmalee. I imagine they have a closer relationship than Urban Meyer and James Robinson, for example. You know what I mean? And then of course there was this here. We're gonna play this. This is Urban Meyer being asked a question about his players, and let's hear his very detailed response.
You've been telling us all year that you have faith in that offensive line. They're getting their ass kicked every week. Like what's going on there? They're getting paid a lot of money to be better than what they've been.
Fuck that question.
You've been telling us all year.
That's a dumb question.
So it is a dumb question because I hate the guys are earning a lot of money.
Yeah, that's why.
First of all, they're earning a lot of money, jackass, because they're much better at everything they do than anything you've ever tried in your
And
life.
you have a paycheck because they earn that money.
Exactly. You're only making money because of how much money they earn.
So complain about their play, fine. Don't complain about their play based on how much money they make.
Their worth with
fuck yourself.
Their worth with the market decides their worth, which also decides your paycheck. By the way, it's the same system.
That's a
also, regardless of how much they're getting paid, you're telling them what to do out there.
Yeah.
So if you're telling them to do stupid shit, that's on you. And for you as a coach to go up there and basically throw your players under the bus and not take any
by
responsibility
just answering
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a dick.
Yeah.
The correct answer is that's an unfair question. We're not putting our players in a position to win games, and we have to be better with their coaching staff so that we can maximize their value.
Eagle, you're already more qualified than
You're
Urban Meyer.
assuming that Urban Meyer is willing to take responsibility for losses of a team that he
No,
coaches.
it's his coach's fault.
Yeah.
Which he hired.
I can't wait for him to have a fake medical issue again so that he can then take some other college job and then ruin some other kid.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be diagnosed with a broken ego.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't blamed the fact that Travis Etienne was injured this year.
It's Imagine the humidity in Jacksonville.
He's like, we need Tony Bazzelli back.
Let's never forget, by the way, Urban Meyer knew that there was something up with Aaron Hernandez before he then went on to murder other people. And we know
did
this,
he though?
We know this because he told Aaron Hernandez to declare for the draft and not return to college because they wouldn't be able to keep it quiet.
It's
been reported.
He's obviously an asshole.
Yeah.
He's obviously somebody that 10 years from now we're going to see some scandalous news that comes out about him. I'm predicting within the next 5 to 10 years Urban Meyer is canceled.
Yeah, he's
completely canceled.
Like if we thought John Gruden was bad, this will be worse.
I think he's living on the edge right now.
Yeah,
I think he's living on the edge right now, and he's like he knows that there's some dirt about him, and he's trying to kind of get away with it. That's why he came to the NFL.
That's why he keeps jumping spot.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think there's something going to come out about Urban Meyer in the next few years.
Well, I mean, let's take. Meanwhile, we have the privilege, of course, to have a live look at what's going on with the Jaguars in Jacksonville right now.
Right next to each other, Chanel slips. I mean, look at.
Yeah, that's
I'm
a
not
live
sure
look
what
at
they're trying to do.
all of
They're
Jacksonville.
right next to each other. Chanel slips.
Just two players colliding at all times.
So this is like me and playing quarterback in recreational flag football. Okay, you give me a 10 out, and then you give me a 10 in.
Yeah.
Or we're going to run into each other. No, it's different. That's exactly what happened.
That's Urban Meyer's play calling.
Also,
you had a point?
Yeah, there's a fun story, too, coming out of the Jacksonville camp about Andre Cisco. He was the third-round pick of the 2021 NFL draft for Jaguars, and they asked Urban Meyer about, if he's getting playtime and everything. He goes, yeah, he's playing a little bit more, I think. I don't have numbers in front of me, but he's getting more playtime. Take a guess on how many defensive snaps Andre Cisco got in their game.
I'm going to say 7.
Ooh.
Zero.
Oh, he's
but
getting
he
more
got
playtime.
a little bit more.
Ah.
It's not negative.
So did he get, I guess he was playing like special teams? He had to have been playing special teams.
He just wasn't playing at all.
He was active and not playing.
There isn't one player that's on the active roster that doesn't touch the field.
Except for Andre Cisco.
He just broke a record. Congratulations, Andre Cisco. You've broken a record.
Awful. Matt Nagy's having a tough time. There's something about coaches when they have a feeling that their tenure's ending, they just do dumber and dumber shit. Eagle, bring up this quote by Matt Nagy.
Yeah, give me a second here because Facebook is stupid.
This is quote of the century only because of their record and how shit he is as a being coach.
And
quote of the century.
You know that I don't like going after dudes' jobs, right? These guys, other than Urban Meyer, you know what? Go earn your paycheck, and I'm happy for you, and go make the living as long as you can. Because listen, there's only 32 of these jobs. Eagle, it's too small for me to read from that far. So if you can read it, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So he basically says Matt Nagy admitted to this is from Adam Hogie. Matt Nagy admitted today that he should have gone for it on 4th and inches in the 4th quarter with his team down 11 points. Quote, "You wish you would have went for it. That's the part where you look back as a coach and you go, damn, that would have been a time to do that."
I love it. They're fucking. He's classic. He's classic in the sense that you know what to expect, but he still kind of shocks you a bit. And the fact that he has this mentality means that he just doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. This is a direct quote. Like, it's not something that people made up. It's not something that's behind the door.
Something he said.
He said he looked into a camera and he said this stuff. You wish you would have went for it. That's the part where you look back as a coach and you go, damn, that would have been a time to do that. Yeah, you're down 11.
We all said it from our couches.
It's crazy. I never coached a down in football. I used to go to practices and help linebackers and D linemen and stuff. I never coached a down in football. I would have told you, just go for it. What do you have to lose at this point? You're not winning the division.
You're not going to the playoffs.
You're not going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Just do something different. Make the general manager and the owner of the Bears be like, you know what? He's trying shit.
It's so
he just gave up.
It's exactly that. He gave up. And he doesn't want to say, I've given up on the team. Right? Like that's what it comes down to. And it's frustrating to watch. He was brought there to be offensively innovative. And here's the thing. When he had debatably the same or less talent on his team, like when Tariq Cohen was the lead back of the team, they were a better offense. And something broke in him when they missed that field goal.
Yeah.
We keep saying it. Like, he forgot how to do his job.
He lost his wind. It's crazy.
It's unfortunate. And like at this point, it feels like a guy. You worked with people like this who just show up to collect a paycheck.
Yeah, definitely.
They're just there. They're clocking in, clocking out. They're not doing any of the work.
Yeah.
They're letting the work pile up.
Urban Meyer.
And they're there to collect a paycheck as long as they can before they get fired.
Of course.
And that's all it is.
George Costanza.
Yeah.
George Costanza. There's a quote, George Costanza. And this is bad that I got into Seinfeld now.
Because you're going to make 40-year-old references.
I've always liked Seinfeld, but now that it's on Netflix, I've actually been binge watching it, and it's great. It's unbelievable. There's a quote is that George is the hardest worker at not trying to work.
Mm-hmm.
So he does everything he can to not work. And he works harder to not work than he would if he actually worked.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. I would say that when I used to be a bigger procrastinator.
I'm a huge procrastinator.
And the amount of things I do while procrastinating, I could have just done the work.
Yeah, exactly.
It would have taken me less time.
I procrastinate the smallest things. I'm a deadline guy. If you tell me Tuesday, it'll be done by Tuesday, you know? But like I'm gonna wait till Monday night to do it. You know, that's just
Monday midnight.
Monday midnight.
I used to have a joke of do today.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
The Cowboys had a game this weekend against the Washington football team.
They did. It was a good game.
It was a great game. It was a great game. I really enjoyed it. A little sloppier than would have liked. But they heard, Jerry Jones heard that there was some fuckery about with the Washington football team in terms of the facilities and was worried that the benches would not be heated. So he flew in the Cowboys benches, as we see here on Twitter.
You're allowed to do.
And the first thing I thought of, Terry, was, of course, Texas brings their own electric chairs. There you go.
Hey-o.
Apparently, they heard from the Seattle staff that this had happened to the Seahawks, essentially, where at their game, their heated seats for the stadium were like on and off. They were kind of like jiggly or whatever it was on the fritz. And so they hired basically a transport and logistics company from Ohio, I think it was, to help them basically fly their benches in and basically say, no, we got this, essentially, guaranteeing that it was going to work. So that's the reason behind it. Now,
I bet you teams are going to start doing this now.
I'm sure it also goes into the pettiness between Ron Rivera and Mike McCarthy, the back and forth this week about how
I don't think
McCarthy
Ron
guaranteed a
Rivera's that
win.
petty.
Rivera did a speech about how it's all like psychological warfare, and you have to go.
Yeah,
out and
he
put a
said
big
he's
effort.
like he said McCarthy made it about him, not about the players, right?
What is
Which
that?
he kind of did.
Is that a waste of a guaranteed win if you're going up? Like, shouldn't
Kind
you
of.
beat?
I mean, it's a big
Washington?
win because it's a division game, and the bottom three are kind of like, you know, you can bring.
But they're better than Washington.
You knocked 100%. You knocked them down a notch. You know what I mean? Like the two best players on Washington are playing like shit. One, because the quarterback can't throw him the ball. Terry McLaurin not playing great.
He got him injured.
He got him injured.
He got him injured this week.
And second is Chase Young hasn't really.
He's injured.
Yeah, he's injured, but he hasn't really played.
He wasn't playing well. He was
to the level of
freelancing.
his, yeah, exactly.
And getting wrecked essentially because defensive line coaches were planning for that.
He wasn't. He doesn't do the plays like he's more focused. He said it anyway. He's like, I know that I took advantage and I can't.
I think, by the way, when he comes back,
athleticism.
he's going to be a monster
Because
he seems like the kind of guy who's like, okay, I get it, I got to fix this.
I think he's the best athlete in that division.
I disagree. Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons, the defensive player of the year so far. There's
the fact that they let him fall to Dallas, that the NFL let him fall to Dallas.
He had a lot of like bad stuff about him. That's why he lives here with his mom.
So
here in Dallas.
Yeah, not here.
Not in Montreal.
It'd be weird.
If he wants to live in Montreal, it's fine. But it doesn't make sense. COVID.
It'd be so hard.
Traveling to Dallas and Montreal, which I never understood why Dallas is in the NFC East. Like they're all the way down there, and they play against Philly, Philly, New York, and Washington.
It was just a time where they needed teams to fill divisions. No, but when I look at this, when I look at that situation with Dallas, when they took a chance on Randy Gregory, they took a chance on Micah Parsons. The way the rookie salary cap is structured is that if they screw up when you draft them, just cut them.
Yeah.
Just trade them. Just cut them.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost you much.
Yeah.
It comes off your book. Okay, they're on your books for the next year for a small cap hit, and then it's off your books.
Yeah.
So why not take chances?
But depends on the reason that the person has kind of blacklisted. I don't know what the issue with Michael Parsons was exactly, but
the guy who went to join the UFC after, what's his name?
Greg Hardy.
Greg Hardy, fine. That
was a bad
throwing a woman onto a bed of guns, bad.
Of automatic rifles.
Yeah. If the Deshaun Watson stuff is true, 100%. But I mean, there was a guy, he's a corner for Arizona. I've already forgotten his name.
Patrick Peterson.
No, the dude who fell in the draft because he threw a shoe in an NCAA game. Who cares?
Oh, it wasn't the fight. They got into a fight and he threw a shoe at somebody. Yeah.
Like, who cares?
He threw a shoe at somebody.
I mean, other than the Austin Powers joke of who throws a shoe.
Yeah.
I mean, okay,
it's a shoe.
He made a mistake. He threw a shoe. Okay,
but it's a sign of bad attitude. But the thing is that the margin for error is so small. You know what I mean? It's so small that the one fuck up you make, there's the next man up.
But you know who improves your margin of error? Having better athletes.
Also having a leader that can show you the right way.
Yeah. And honestly, I've been saying this for a while. Jerry Jones is not drafting for the Cowboys. They have somebody who knows what they're doing because there's not a team who's drafted better over the last 5 or 6 years than the Dallas Cowboys.
Stephen Jones.
I don't even think I think they have a team of people.
But Cowboys have always drafted well.
Not the Quincy Carter era.
No, I know Quincy Carter. I don't even think it was drafted.
No, but the whole era was bad.
They still had.
It was a rough 5-year patch where I think Jerry Jones was still trying to run the team with an iron fist.
Since Wade Phillips, they've been drafting really well.
They have been.
We didn't talk about Marcus Spears that year, both in the first round. One Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winner.
But you know the era I'm talking about, I
know exactly.
Right before Tony Romo.
Early 2000s. Yeah, early 2000s
was rough.
Was pretty brutal.
It was like at the point where it was not this bad, but when Al Davis was still drafting for the Raiders and just missing on every draft pick.
You know what? The era of the Cowboys that I missed is when they had Tony Romo, Marion Barber, Julio Jones, Des Bryant, Patrick.
Julio Jones?
Julius Jones. Sorry, Julius Jones, the running back. Who else they had? It was Jason Witten. They had their offensive line was a mix of a few guys that are there now.
It was like the transition into what they are now.
What they have now. It was honestly
Beasley
that
back
was
then
my
too,
favorite.
actually.
Cole Beasley was after.
Yeah,
but this is the time where when Romo was it was 2010, 2011. Romo came in 2009. That era for me was my favorite. Roy Williams, Terrence Newman.
Terrence Newman must have played for 50 years.
Terrence Newman was one of the fastest guys in the NFL, right away, and then he kind of lost his speed, and he went to the Bengals after. He went to the Saints, I think, too, at one point.
Yeah, but he hung on for a while.
He's one of those guys we were talking about 2 weeks ago. Kenny Vaccaro. It's
why?
He's still around? Terrence Newman just hung around.
He must be a really good dude.
Yeah,
good dude,
sure.
and not bad enough to get benched, and that's all it is. So the Rams and Cards played last night. To be honest, I don't know why, because it was a good game. I fell asleep at halftime. I just fell asleep. It was a good game. I fell asleep.
I don't watch it.
But the big story out of the game, of course, is all of the COVID cases. The NFL now having 75 cases over 2 weeks. Just as fantasy playoffs are starting, just as betting is ramping up for guys like me and you, it's chaos. It's absolute chaos. I have a buddy who was leading in our big money league and he stacked up on the Rams. He's like, I believe in the Rams.
Oh, they're fucked.
With Matthew Stafford, he's a first round done. It's guaranteed. There's no way he
has nobody playing.
He has both Sony Michel and Henderson. He has Odell Beckham and Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp.
But Odell Beckham didn't get.
We don't know what's going to happen over the next,
I have him. That's why. Fuck, man.
Yeah.
I only made it. I'm in 4 leagues. I made into 2 of them. One that we're in together.
I'm 7 for 7 in the playoffs.
What do you mean? How's that possible?
I'm in 7 leagues. I made 7 playoffs.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And that's enough for our own fantasy teams. But yeah, so it's madness, and I understand, the NFL trying to keep the boat afloat, basically, because a lot of money is at stake, and it sucks that at times I feel we're watching distorted product, right? Like, I remember having to watch Hoyer play quarterback for the New England Patriots last year, and I'm like, why am I watching this?
Yeah,
I don't want to watch Hoyer.
Why is the NFL putting on this product?
Yeah.
I do not want this product.
And they have to get to the dollars. I get it. I understand.
Crazy.
I understand it's a business, but man, it ruins my Sundays.
It's the worst.
The Montreal Canadiens have begun their search for their GM. And there's been a lot of coverage about this, and I was reading, actually, it's so weird to be reading detailed coverage about the Montreal Canadiens in The Athletic, but it's a big deal when the biggest franchise in a sports history, the NHL, is undergoing a transformation the way they are. And it turns out Jeff Molson and his team are looking at 3 female candidates to be general manager, which is interesting.
Amongst others,
yeah.
So, listen, it's obvious they're not going to hire a woman to be the general manager. The only reason why is that if you hire a woman on, she needs to be groomed, because regardless of steps you want to take in the right direction, and the Habs had a PR nightmare with the draft, with drafting Logan Meyer, they have to kind of change the way it looks. So this is a good way to do it, the fact that you're going through the interviews. But realistically, other than these women, they've never been general managers of a pro team, a minor league team, or any of that. They've worked in front offices, which is great. They're probably good numbers.
But the problem is that eventually someone has to, like, the problem is it's not their fault they haven't been general managers necessarily, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think there is a path in a sense in that I'm a believer in that the general manager doesn't necessarily need to be a quote-unquote hockey person. They could just be great business analysts. They can be someone who does projections. You can separate the hockey operations from business operations, and it would be fine. And then in that time, you groom them to become more involved in the hockey side of that role.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you, and just to interject there, wouldn't you look at more like a Julien Brisebois type of example of where that would work, where you start off at like a front office job as like assistant GM, player personnel, working your way into that position?
And look, we've seen it with the Marlins, where they made a hire, and it was somebody who had a plethora of experience in front offices. So definitely that's not the case with these, because hockey, unfortunately, is lagged behind with minorities. It's lagged behind with, we've said it, it's in some ways a prehistoric sport, right? Like they're not as progressive as the NBA has been. Do they even have female referees?
No female referees. I don't think so.
The NBA is half a decade already.
The thing about Canada is the thing about hockey is that
it'd be like there's no women in Canada.
No, it's not that. It's that it's the disparity, the difference between the hockey level of women and the hockey level of men is a lot different than the hockey level of a basketball player.
But unless you make the effort, unless you make the investment, it's going to be that way.
I agree. And they have, like, there's plenty of reps.
It's improving, yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of reps. Like, who do we know, actually, that just their sister... Oh, Anthony Manta. We don't know him. He's in the NHL. But his sister was, she ref like some game. Like she was the head ref of some game. And it's like a big game in junior, I think. So, I mean, there's little steps like that. So they're coming. But that's what I'm trying to say about the assistant manager or the general manager position is that it's going to get there. It's going to happen. And within the next 10 years, it's happening. There's no doubt. But maybe bring one on as an assistant manager because they're not going to be able to. If Pierre McGuire hasn't gotten a job as a GM, a real GM, then no women should be
So here's a thought I had about this, right? Because now we have, I never remember his first name, Gordon?
Who?
Tim Gordon's.
Tim Gordon's.
Tim Gordon's. Yeah,
It's going to be his name forever on this show.
Gordon's. Talk about a Twitter account.
He's the one effectively making the decision on who to bring in as a GM. I'm sure he has Molson there consulting.
Well, there's a team. Sedgwick is there. They brought Bob Gainey back on this search committee
as a more of like an
consultative
advisor.
role. E.g., here's a paycheck for nothing.
Like he's already. It's kind of a feel good story for somebody who's already rich.
I think Bob Gainey was already salaried. I think he does some work for them, so they're like, why don't you just help this guy now?
Since we're already paying.
Since we're giving you 6 figures for no fucking
normally,
reason.
when you hire the GM kind of brings in their staff to a degree, right? Can you see this in a position where Tim Gordon's is going to pick both the GM as well as some of the staff and basically say, play nice and go? Where maybe one of these female employees they're interviewing is actually being interviewed, I mean, maybe not publicly, but is actually for more of an assistant GM or grooming position. Where that's kind of like in the plan itself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They're not actually being considered for a GM role, but the GM isn't going to have a choice.
So
here's
here's the thing: where these interviews tend to fall apart, unfortunately, is when they're token interviews. Nobody wants them to be token interviews. At the worst heights of the Rooney Rule in the NFL, we saw how bad that can get. Right, where guys are being paraded in just to say we interviewed a minority. That's an issue, right? But you mentioned the point of like there's not a high quality women's hockey. There's not high quality women's football, but there are NFL officials that are women. And there's a training program, because there's investment, because there's money being put into it. And the NHL's defense and the Gary Bettman's defense, they started later than everyone else. Is the issue?
It's different because it's what I was trying to say before is that you also need participation, right? And if you don't have a lot of participation. Then you have a situation where you're not going to get the best and you're not going to get enough. You're not going to be able to get enough of a sample size to be able to say, okay, you stand out. Because at this point,
it can't be just hiring.
They're not enough.
Again, similar with the minority, you don't want to hire just the first person because they showed up. You want to hire someone who's qualified so that it can never be pointed to be like you just hired them because of. You know what I mean? That's the worst. That's the worst part of it.
I've seen a lot of online comments specifically calling out some of these reports, basically saying they're interviewing candidates, some of which happen to be women. The fact that they're women isn't the reason why this is news, right? I mean, it is, but it isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, one thing from my side, I'm usually not good with words, but maybe we should find a better way of describing when a woman would come in as an assistant GM to work under a general manager, other than grooming.
Grooming and under.
That's a good call.
Work with a general manager.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
We don't want to go to jail or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, is grooming illegal? I know it's creepy.
I mean, it's...
Because Chris D'Elia did it, but he didn't go to jail.
Yeah, but it's super creepy. Also,
it's creepy.
He looks like the person who would be...
He also played that role twice.
Yeah, because he looks like that. Because if you're casting
He's
somebody...
typecast.
Yeah. It's art imitating life, imitating art, imitating life.
He's typecast. The best is when he found out that you can save conversations on Snapchat. You ever see this? So before he got caught, he was on The Fighter and the Kid, and the girl, one of the interns in the back, she's like, "Oh, Snapchat, yeah, she saved." They were talking about a teacher who had sex with her student, and he's like, "Oh, but how did they save the conversation in Snapchat? You can't save." And she's like, "Oh no, there's a way you can save on Snapchat." And you saw his face change, and then it all came out later that he was sending girls DMs on Snapchat. He was sending girls DMs on Snapchat asking him, "Are you 18 yet?" And they're like, "No." He's like, "Okay, I'll talk to you later." He says things like that. And then he'll message them again like a year later. Are you 18
look,
yet?
if there's an answer to right in the situation, it's better than come over, right? Like,
I mean,
I'm a wait.
You could just say bye.
But then they'll be like, "No, sorry," and then you'll be like, "Oh, it's okay, cool, because I really like you," or something like that, or like, or it's like, "Well, oh, it's too bad," you know, like it's creepy. It's along the lines of creepy.
Yeah. There was also an F1 race this weekend.
There was.
Big time race. Basically, decided the championship. So congrats to Verstappen, but it's
fuck you, Verstappen.
So the real winner is Netflix.
Yeah,
because
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either, but everyone's telling me it's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm kind of waiting for a Christmas break so that I have 5 seconds to watch something that's not sports.
I'm gonna watch it for sure. Well, technically it's a sport.
It's technically sports, but it's like this time of year. Like I work with a couple of people. A lot of my friends aren't sports fans.
Okay.
And so they'll tell me like, "Have you seen the new?" And the answer is always no. I can't. I don't.
Does
have
it
time.
involve a ball being thrown at someone's face? No, I didn't see it.
And this time of year is it's a marathon of sports, which is awesome. But I feel gross by Sunday nights. It's rough.
No, yeah, and I think the F1 should feel Formula One should feel gross about how they handle that situation.
Absolutely, Eagle. So you have a breakdown, right? Like
More or less. So here's my understanding of what's happened. So we have Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton going into the last race of the 2021 season. Hamilton's currently in the lead for the Drivers' Championship.
Okay.
This is last race. It ends up going, and obviously there's been drama between the two the entire year, but we're not going to talk about that. So in this race specifically...
Between the two racers?
Yes, there's been a
Drivers?
bunch of back and forth. At one point, one driver took the other driver out. There's a big scandal.
So we call them drivers, not racers.
They don't. Yeah,
Okay.
they respect each other, but they don't like each other. It's one of those type of things.
Oh, like me and you.
Yeah.
Like-
So about
I mean,
5
I like you, I
laps
don't respect
left
you.
in the race or so. Hamilton's in the lead by a somewhat substantial amount, where like Verstappen is really gonna have to push the gas to try and catch up.
There was
here.
5 cars that he lapped that were in between him and Verstappen.
Yes.
Just to give you an example.
Also that.
Just to give you an idea.
Now, granted, lap cars in F1 is not.
Oh, yeah.
But one other thing to mention is there was an interesting tactical decision where they brought Verstappen in to change tires and so on at a spot where it allowed Lewis Hamilton to gain this huge lead. But
Yeah.
it was risky in a sense for Hamilton, but he was controlling his car so well that he built this giant lead over Verstappen, who had fresh tires, everything checked, full tank of gas, like whatever he needed, or not full tank, but like enough gas to finish the race. Everything. It was set up for, look, and it was said in the broadcast, Max Verstappen needs a miracle. The Red Bull team needs a miracle.
In comes God and makes a car crash.
Comes
This may or may not have been an actual act of God, but hey,
Hopefully that driver is okay.
Everything's fine. It's just the car exploded.
Nobody
or something.
died.
You know, the usual in
Just
F1.
guys going around corners at 300 kilometers an hour.
Yeah. That's it. Regular
So
day
protocol is you bring out a safety car. Now, when a safety car comes out, all the cars end up kind of turn into a snake, right?
Yeah.
Because they're all kind of backed up each other. So the large lead Hamilton had built on Verstappen shrunk to nothing. And on top of that, normally, in order to restart a race after they clear up the incidents, you have to have all the cars lined up kind of 1 to 20 or whatever's outstanding in order to restart the race. But because some cars were so super lapped, you really had to wait for them to catch all the way back up in order for that to happen. If they would have waited, it would have ended up at a point where the race would have ended on a safety car for the championship. So the F1 stewards decided, okay, we're only going to have these certain number of cars.
The safety car would have already ended up at the line.
At the race.
At the end of the race before those cars that got lapped did.
Exactly.
Just give up at that point.
So
Just
what they
drive right to
decided
your pit.
was, okay, we're only going to I'm going to make up a number. Cars 1 to 12 are going to be ready to go. The other cars, wherever they're on the track, is where they're on the track, and it is what it is. So there's 1 lap left in this race. Hamilton has the lead, but Verstappen is now behind him with fresh tires, and Hamilton's are about 40 laps in at this point, so they have no grip left at this point. Maybe like the third chicane.
No, it was turn 5. It was turn 5, and like you see the difference.
Yeah.
You see the difference of like,
Also, his tires were huge.
because they're not worn at all.
Yeah.
and the thing is like Lewis Hamilton was getting by on just his sheer ability at this point, right? Like, and Verstappen has the technological advantage of like, all right, well, I got this corner.
He was like fishtailing, and he was still catching up. Like
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton showed how good of a
well, they're
driver
both
he is.
incredible, right?
Yeah.
Like they're 1 and 2 all season long for a reason,
Definitely,
right? And it's interesting because basically what they're saying is F1 made up rules to have a
It's almost like they didn't want to be inconvenient, so they're like, just
well,
let
it wasn't
them go.
inconvenient. So with the I forget the dude's name, but what he told Mercedes, that the person who was in charge of making this call, he said, "We're here to race, so we wanted the race to end as a race." Massey was his name. They wanted it to end as a race, and I was like, I get it, but so like at this point, why not have like injury time like soccer? You know, like
add laps.
Add laps.
Add laps, yeah. At that point, yeah.
If it ends on a safety lap, whatever.
Add 3 laps.
Add 3 laps.
Yeah.
I think it's only the most logical decision.
And they both start from 0.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
But you know what? Now it's going to change. How many times have we had something happen drastic like this, and then the next year the league makes a change, i.e. tuck rule, stuff like that?
Or you head over to a drag strip, and you have the 2 racers go live their life a quarter mile at a time.
That's it.
Just like Dom Toretto.
Billionaires.
Yeah.
You know Michael Schumacher's he's bankrupt now because of all the
All the
hospital
medical
bills?
bills, yeah.
That's crazy.
It's an awful story. Awful story.
He's like top 10 of all time in money earned, and he's bankrupt. His wife
Top 10 in my heart too.
His wife is bankrupt. Yeah, I mean, he was the reason why I used to watch every
Yeah,
Sunday.
me too.
Maybe he gave all his money to Evander Kane.
Maybe. Ferrari back then was so fun to watch.
Well, and my grandfather was still alive, and I used to watch with him. It was the thing we did together.
What did they have? They had Schumacher. They had Barrichello. Who else did they have?
The Brazilian guy, I never remember his name.
Barrichello.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
he's one of the Brazilian guys. Mata.
Mata was the other one. Fernando Mata, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Felipe Mata.
we're heading towards the end of the show, so I think it's time that we get to rapid fire.
Before we get to rapid fire, Terry, how much money did you lose this week?
I actually just made $20 as I was waiting for the show on Hot Streak Fantasy. I took Curry on the over, 0.5 points. I took Green on the over rebounds, and I took who are they playing? Who else the fuck did it take? I forgot who. Anyway, I took somebody else on the under on points, and I won. $20. Not all $5. I did streak mode. Then you can win more. Go on streak mode. It's the best.
Yeah,
if you don't go streak mode, you get like your money back if one guy hits in there, but it's not enough. Streak mode is where you really make the money. Actually, let me just check my other bet that I made. Go ahead. Hot Streak Fantasy, use promo code Hot Sauce.
Yeah, absolutely. And the streak mode does add a little level of engagement there. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy it.
Promo code Hot Sauce. They will match your initial deposit with a bonus. You put $50, they'll give you $50 up to $1,000. So if you have $1,000 to waste. To
earn.
invest.
Yeah.
To
invest in your future.
Invest in Hot Streak Fantasy. They will give you $1,000 for having put $1,000 in, and you'll just make all kinds of money.
All right, rapid fire. We're going to start off with beer goggles. Orlando Magic player Wendell Carter Jr. got a ball to the face, knocking over his goggles. And LeBron decided, hey, I need to go to the optometrist. I wonder if this pair fits me well.
Or something that could create some blood there as you see the ball being thrown in and hits him right in the face.
The lens is popped right out. Okay. I was like, what kind of glasses are these? They don't have like the things you put on the ears. So everybody's talking shit about how bad LeBron's been playing this year, and he's putting up like similar numbers to Steph Curry, but we're also talking about how good Steph Curry is. He's going to be the MVP. It's weird, huh?
There's a weird,
It's weird.
So LeBron's obviously not the player he was because he's 37.
Yeah.
But what he's doing at 37 is on a bad team, by the way.
His last 10 games, if he didn't hit 20 if he didn't hit 30 over 25 points, he had a triple-double.
So look,
that's crazy.
Alex, the intern, is a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
And I remember he was so excited about all the names joining the roster, and I was like, this is not going to be a good team.
It's not a good team.
It's fun to watch the disaster in motion because they're familiar names, and that's always fun.
You can't overload too much.
Well,
there's a limit to your overload.
There's also because in the NBA, the styles of player are important, and Westbrook and LeBron just doesn't work. It's two of the guys who do the same things at the same time who need the ball to do those things. It doesn't make sense. And what's cool about this is that LeBron has seemed miserable this year, and he always catches a lot of heat from the people who hate LeBron and whatever. It was cool to remember, oh yeah, LeBron used to be a guy who had fun on the court. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I wish he would be this more often.
Of course.
Just a kid having fun on the court.
Even the LeBron that's kind of like a little bit of a dick and but talks to the players and stuff. I like that LeBron. The LeBron I don't like is the diver, the flopper, the complainer,
the business mogul.
I mean, no, I don't even mind the business mogul because he's a super smart guy and he's doing the right shit.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed, obviously, with the business mind that LeBron has been. He basically turned himself into an economy.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
he created a legit value. For himself.
I hate that the press conferences become so dull.
Yeah.
Because he's always protecting the brand, right?
He's always protecting himself too.
Yeah. Well,
when he won with the Lakers,
if he says the wrong thing, it costs millions of dollars. It puts thousands of people out of work.
When he won with the Lakers, he's like, I want my damn respect. You have the respect. So
that's the thing he did. Even going back to Miami though, where he tried to play the villain card,
he plays the victim, not the villain.
Well, yeah. Well, it was a misapplication of the villain. We're like, bro, you're still the best in the world, man. It's all good. Just go win. Is
this the one time that LeBron wins the argument over MJ in terms of who is better at age 37?
Well, Michael's body at 37. Although Michael became a good shooter at 37, but his body broke down in a way LeBron's didn't.
Also at 42, he played the full season when he played with Charlotte.
Yeah, but he wasn't good.
He wasn't good, but he was 42 and he played 82 games.
Yeah, but that's overblown.
What's the point? Draymond Green is on Twitter right now talking about how he's to play back-to-back games and he's tired.
Well, but they are tired.
He's tired.
Yeah.
He's tired.
But I understand.
He's tired.
I'm tired.
You know what tired is?
I'm tired of your shit.
I fell asleep on the couch last night. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning to drive my girlfriend to work today. That's tired.
I fell asleep on the couch, and then I woke up at 10 o'clock this morning.
And I'm not
complaining.
I'm not complaining.
Oh,
This guy's complaining that he played a game, slept, Next morning, had to
But
fly
saying
to a city and then play another game. He's complaining that those games are back to back because there's a break right after.
So when you say playing a game, it's misleading too, because what they do for a living is more than playing a game.
Okay,
it's
sorry.
very physically demanding, and
It
the
is.
travel is
I
terrible.
agree. I agree.
The NBA travel is the worst. It always has been the worst, by the way. It was even worse during the Michael Jordan's time. But here's the thing: is I don't actually care if players play 82 games or not, because look, I'd rather get the best version of them, especially come playoff time.
I agree. I'm not against load management and all that stuff, but like you can't come back to me and say that you're tough and you do all these things when you're complaining about 2 basketball games back to back.
LeBron is also on track to have played the most minutes in NBA.
No,
history.
not LeBron.
I understand. I'm just saying, bring it back to LeBron.
Yeah.
He is on track to play the most minutes in NBA
agree.
history. So I mean, there is that too.
You're not getting any anti-LeBron arguments from me.
All right,
Next.
going from 82 games to 10. Good gyrations. LSU's new head coach is celebrating his recruitment of 5-star quarterback Walker Howard with this particular dance. Sorry.
You're so loud.
That was so fucking
Fault.
Oh no. Brian. Brian. What a sellout. Whoa, Eagle. Fuck.
Why is it so loud?
I muted it on stream so they don't
Okay.
hear it. But I have to
Okay,
put the volume
thanks
back.
for murdering my ears.
You're welcome.
Brian, don't do that. What was that? That was so cheesy.
And so
What a sellout. Oh my god. What
I
a
want to
sellout.
ask you a question. What's cringier? The fact that he developed a southern accent? The fact that he's wearing the sweater vest? Or when they slow the dance down to slow motion?
So like I remember people was like, oh, maybe he was like hiding his accent in Indiana. Why? They have accents in Indiana.
He's from Massachusetts.
What southern accent is he hiding?
He's from Massachusetts.
Southern Boston.
Boston. Fucking Boston.
Like if he was
Those
Matt
guys-
Damon, I'd get it.
Those guys sound like Bill Burr. They don't sound like fucking
Bill Burr, you mean the Texans punter?
Yeah, exactly. That guy, how fucking crazy is that?
Oh, just jacked Bill Burr. No, but it's like,
Jill
here's the
Drew.
thing. You tell me that I keep hating on college coaches?
Yeah.
Come on.
No, this is ridiculous.
Am I wrong?
This is
Am I wrong?
this is the reason why they should coaches shouldn't be getting paid in college. That reason.
Pay the players, pay Walker,
Yeah, yeah.
don't pay Kelly.
Yeah.
The production cost of that video could have paid for someone's tuition.
Also, Walker coming out of high school, he's like 6'8". Like, how big is that guy?
I don't understand these American kids, man.
There was a few transfers. What's his name? Spencer Rattler went to like South Carolina or something from Oklahoma. So.
So I even saw Joe Burrow's Heisman speech this weekend, because it was like the anniversary of his Heisman speech, and it's putting Kevin McAllister's head from Home Alone
Yeah.
on the body of an adult man.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's so creepy.
He has like the bag.
He
under
looks
his
like a
eyes and
child.
everything. Yeah.
Scissor Me Timbers again. Washington football team's Taylor Heineke, Taylot, by the way, thanks, Peace, was on his way to the bench, and he found a pair of scissors on the field.
I saw that.
This is actually the second time this happens this season. I miss the days of people throwing dildos.
No, it's the personal trainer. That guy, he dropped his scissors on the way there.
Look at this.
That's all it was.
Down and picks up
He dropped his scissors on the way there.
scissors.
Here's your scissors.
He found scissors on the field.
Those are clearly scissors to cut tape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So people just like
But
to
so what-
react over.
But here's the thing: is how often does this actually happen? And like, has a player ever slid into scissors? Has everyone's season ended because they ripped their Achilles on a pair of scissors?
Imagine.
That'd be awful.
Imagine like the player gets up, he's like, "What the hell is going on?" And then he looks down and he sees a pair of scissors like poking through his Achilles. That'd be unbelievable.
There used to be this I think it was Mutant Football League where there would be like explosions on the field and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
That's what that reminds me of.
Yeah, yeah.
They're starting to build like, obstacles, like
Yeah.
it goes from scissors to like a flaming
It's
hoop.
gonna be like NFL Blitz soon.
yeah.
I love it. Next.
Down.
All right, defensive assignment. Detroit Red Wings defender Moritz Seider leads all NHL rookie defensemen in a very particular category, as seen
category.
on this lower third. I'll let you in on a little production secret. We don't check to see if the graphics fit the spot we typed it in. So, yeah.
No, it's just assists, but in the assists column it's called ass.
Well, he leads an ass. So
He
first of
leads
all,
an ass.
Moritz Seider, congrats on the sex.
Moritz Seider.
Because you're crushing it apparently.
Yeah, crushing it.
Crushing it. I'm happy for the dude, for the assist, and also for the ass, because it's important.
It's all good. Love
It's all
ass.
good. We're pro sex podcast.
I
so
am definitely pro
Happy,
sex.
happy
Definitely,
he's crushing it.
definitely pro ass.
Mm.
Definitely pro ass.
Definitely an ass
More of a
man.
legs guy though.
Mm.
Big legs guy.
So if it was just legs, like you take home like the legs of a mannequin and go dirty.
Depends on the legs.
Well, mannequin legs are pretty sex. No hair.
Yeah, but
Oh,
there's
hairless.
no. But I like a little chunk.
I mean, you can sandpaper them a little bit if you want, a little scruff.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe.
Big boy reprise. 7-foot-tall high school basketball player Connor Williams has put together a viral tape, including one shredding defense with his passes after suffering an ankle injury.
That
Here
kid is
a
7
highlight.
feet tall.
7 feet tall.
This kid's 7 feet tall.
7 feet tall.
He looks 700 pounds.
That's right.
Well, he carries it well because he's 7 feet tall.
Oh man.
Yep.
Listen, you were a big guy at one point. I'm a big guy now.
There.
I know the exact pain he just went through in rolling
It
his
sucks.
ankle.
Oh, it's the worst.
Fat guys roll their ankles all the time.
Pass for the dunk and the foul on in.
So he rolls his ankle, continues the play, goes to the spot, gets the pass, quick dish
Yeah.
for the two.
Because he can't move.
Because he can't move.
Yeah.
This guy's better than Jokic.
No.
He's better than
So
Jokic.
it's funny because people have been like drawing comparisons to like Zion,
No.
and the thing is,
Zion doesn't roll his ankle running up.
so
the court.
because there's videos of him just wet from three. There's videos of him just dominating dudes. But here's the thing: is like his shot takes a year to come out of his hand. At the next level, everything's getting
Oh
blocked.
yeah, for sure.
He's actually primarily a football player.
Okay.
And so he's probably if he plays in college, it's going to be in football.
he's probably at a school where he has to play a winter sport and he has to play a summer sport.
Yeah.
So he plays football and basketball.
And yeah, it's but still, it's still an impressive feat to see
Because
what,
what
he's
other
doing.
sport can he play at a prep school other than basketball? That guy.
Lacrosse?
A guy that size? No, there's no way.
No,
Can't
no
move.
way.
Can I just give him credit for playing basketball, getting injured, and continuing to play without going into tears or calling an ambulance?
Weird, huh? It's weird
Yeah.
how that happens. Yeah. It's
It
weird.
is. It is.
It's weird.
And our last story for today, serial hacker with a C. Kellogg's has decided to permanently replace their 1,400 striking employees by replacing them with scabs. That's P's word, not mine, but in case you don't know what that means, basically like just workers off the street to
But
fill.
it is a term. Like
I wasn't sure.
it's a term in like union
Scabs?
terminology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
scabs is a term.
All right, now I
It's even on Seinfeld.
That's how Terry knows.
Yeah. No. I mean,
however,
actually, is it how I know? No, I know because I'm a history major.
I was just making a joke, Terry. Obviously.
No, because I second guess myself. I'm like, is it because of Kramer?
So a TikToker has decided to flood their application system with a series of fake applications similar to what he did for the Texas abortion ban logic. But he made it very hard to detect because he's using actual relevant information in those submitted surveys, so they can't tell what's real and what's fake.
Oh my God, this is unbelievable.
Well, apparently Kellogg's is planning to replace workers who are fighting for better workplace conditions and better pay. And so people over at the anti-work subreddit have found out they're using these websites to do it, these locations. So you know what I had to do? You know how to cook up a little something, you know? I'm not going to try to explain exactly what this does. I'm just going to show you. Go ahead and run the code. Paste when I ran on one of the 4 websites.
Oh, fuck.
Starts up an application. You need to sign in. Okay, well, it goes through the process of signing in. Goes says that's a privacy agreement itself. Goes says it creates an account.
Oh, we're living in the Matrix, man. We're living in the
and then it
fucking
fills
Matrix.
everything else.
Dominating the world.
It fills out a resume and attaches a CV.
I still have fucking
Application has been
AMC.
sent.
I'm still following.
And in case you're
AMC
wondering,
GME
yes,
because
all
I'm
the
just
data is
scared of
relevant
this
data.
guy.
Nokia right here.
Match,
Yeah,
cities
there you
match,
go.
states match, it all matches up perfectly. I'm still working on the rest of the fields, but not bad.
So
He did that in a day.
Unbelievable.
hey man, not all heroes wear capes. You know, like apparently they were forcing overtime, forcing 16-hour days, and like, here's the thing: are people still even eating cereal? I haven't
I
eaten
eat cereal all the time.
really. I haven't eaten cereal in a decade.
My girlfriend loves Fruit Loops.
I once in a while get the churro cereal, the cinnamon toast churros,
Oh, I never had those.
but I drop it on my ice cream.
Oh, that's amazing.
So the once a month I get to eat ice cream. That's
There
what
you
I do.
Can't make Rice Krispie squares for Christmas with the little like red and green ones.
There is a shortage of Rice Krispie.
I wonder
Rice Krispies.
why.
There's a shortage of anything. There's no wine. There was no Chianti.
They're also on
Classicos.
strike, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah,
I went to go look. I couldn't find it.
All right.
Bastards.
yeah. There we go.
There you go. That was the show.
Well, first of all, thanks to the TikToker for fucking over Kellogg's. It's awesome. Thank you, Eagle, for everything you've done today. Thank you, Terry, for joining us, for coming back to the show. I missed you last week, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for everyone who has liked and subscribed and rated and reviewed and all that stuff. It's awesome. We appreciate it. Keep doing that. If you haven't done it yet, please do. It's super important. We really do appreciate it. It's going to be Christmas soon. We don't really know what we're doing for Christmas season because we haven't talked about it, but we'll talk about it after this show, and we're going to let you know next week on Hot Sauce Sports. Till then, thank you all for letting me be myself. You've been listening to Hot Sauce Sports.